It's looking pretty good. Have a look. That stuff's amazing. You can really see how those knots filled out. Here's a cool one. Got some neat patterns. Now I need to do a little more cleanup, make some space so that we can start staining and get busy. Got the stain on, so had some help. My wife came down, we got all the stain on. Whew, looks good. It's a little bit fumey in here right now, so I better get out of here and go have a drink. With all the wainscot panel stained last night, it's all good and dry now, and I've set most of it aside. Got some sitting in there, got some over there, got some here. And all I did now was I cut the baseboards and top plates. I just cut a 45 on those, trying to keep the face side as clean as possible, as clean a cut from my joins as possible. I want to be able to put on one piece, slide the next piece right on there, and have that seam almost invisible. And then what I've done is I've just kind of painted them with water, just lightly give them a bit of a paint with water. And I can tell you, I can feel it already. You can feel it. So if you do this on something, these were all sanded down to 220 grit, nice and smooth. And now that I've just painted them lightly with some water, all of those fibers are standing up. So they're really quite rough now. So we'll let that dry. And once it's dry, we'll sand them again. So while those dry, I can go ahead and I can apply some Varathane to some of the wainscot. So I'm going to do that now. All right, now all I've got to do is, that's a workout. Here I am right before going to work, knocking down some 220 grit sanding. I got to get some hot water, get some dye going. Boom. Throw some dye on those. That dye might have been a little light. I think when I mixed it, I just put some hot water in the bucket and threw the dye in. And it looks a little yellow to me. I'll let that dry, come back this afternoon after work and take a look at it. And if it looks good, I might go ahead and let it rip and put some Varathane on them. Right now, looking at it, you can see the red in the ponderosa, the knotty pine wainscot. So you see that kind of reddy brown color there. I call it a reddish color, red brown, but it's just brown. And then when you come over here and you look at those, they're definitely yellow. Now you can see some beautiful figure in there. It's kind of amazing, really. So the bar top really was kind of a tan yellowish kind of color to start out too, and then when I poured it, it popped right out. It was beautiful. So we'll see. After putting the dye on this morning, it was a little bit too yellow, a little bit too light brown. I went ahead and I darkened up my dye a little bit, hit it again. Now they look great. I like the way they look. So I will tell you that after the initial wash down with water, I hit it with 220, smoothed it right out. Now that I've hit it with the dye, it's still pretty smooth. Not as smooth as it was. So I think I'm going to hit that one more time. Just sand her down a little bit and then we'll see how it looks. So what I'm doing here is I am just doing a quick buff with a 220 grit sanding pad, and then taking some tack cloth and running the tack cloth over the piece after I've done a quick sand on it. And it's just a very light sand just to smooth things out, take any rough edges off. And then the tack cloth will pull off any residual dust left from hitting it with the 220 grit. You can actually hear, when it's on the rough stuff, you'll hear it, it'll just kind of, you'll hear a different sound. And then when you go back over it, it'll be smoother sound. Okay, I had to make a couple changes. Originally, I had planned on running my baseboards a 1/2 inch to the edge and then putting a block in. I hadn't 100% decided how I was going to do that. However, what I had was just a tad short. So I've decided to do 1-inch blocks on the edge. So I'll do a 1-inch block with a wrap, and then I'll do a 90-degree wrap around the corners with walnut. So I think that'll look fine. You can see there, we got a little bit of a gap there. Got a nice join here, 22.5 degrees. So that one looks pretty good. Got my 45 splice right there, worked out. This one, it was just a hair off, but I can hide that. So there's just a little bit of an overlap right there, but I think we can hide that down there. That'll be okay. Got another splice here, and then 1 inch from the edge. So we've got 1 inch on either end. I'll put blocks in there. I've got the baseboards in. Now it's time to get the wainscot, set some up, set the top plate in, and figure out exactly what I need to cut that wainscot to make it work. So that's next. Good job. Okay, 11 3/4. Good thing I measured. And then we've got to kind of round out on top and the bottom with the router so that we can screw that plate back in. So I'll just kind of draw a little rounded out edge somewhere close to the corner. What you got to do is pull that out carefully, of course. You're supposed to like turn the breakers off and stuff. Much brighter than that. Too bright. Oh, to see where that hole was. Took me at least another 5 minutes of farting around to get that on. Look at that. Whew, okay. A little bit more to go before I get this done. I've got to do the 1-inch blocks on the end, and then I still have to do some edging. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch 90-degree edge trim. So I'll cut that out of walnut. I've got to cut some down still. I can do the blocks on the bottom. So if you look here, you can see down there, we've got those blocks to do. And then we've got to do the edge trim, and we'll do edge trim all the way up. And what I'll do is I'm going to have it come flush here. So I'll have to notch it out. So it'll cap the end of this, and then it'll go flush here. Then I still have to work on something up here on top. So we'll work on something there. But there you go. The wainscoting project is seriously coming along. I have to admit, I love it. It's awesome. It's just amazing now. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Rough sawn lumber off the property turned into this gorgeous bar here. Still got a little work left to do on the bar. Just a little bit. I don't know. What do you think? I'm loving it. Project's done for now. You can see there. Looks pretty good. Got to decide what I'm going to do with the plate there. Probably put a different color socket in. I think the white just takes away, and we need to move that and change that to a black socket with the black plate. I think that'll look good. On the edges down below, I just put a 1-inch block in for now until I decide how I'm going to do that. So as you can see, that wainscot turned out really nice. I'm just super happy with it. I've still got to do my edges here. Got to figure out what I'm going to do there still. I've got some plans for that, and I've still got a little bit of work to do in here. I've got to decide how I'm going to handle that. I'm probably going to do some shimming work or something like that. Carve something out to fit in there. But otherwise, I think you get a pretty good idea of how that turned out. A view back here. Full kitchen view.